Hey everybody, today we are going to get into chapter 5 in our QuickBooks tutorial, and finally we get into the guts of QuickBooks and really working on different transactions and things you're going to carry out day in day out for doing the accounting of your business. So within QuickBooks, I want you to get into Jackson Supply Company, one of these sample files that came with the textbook that we should have restored a couple weeks ago. And we're going to flip ahead to page 5.3 in our tutorial book. So first off, we're going to get in here and add a new vendor. So I can't remember when we were doing Wooden Nursery if we were doing a customer or a vendor in the last chapter, but we'll get into the vendor here. So we'll go to Vendors on our home page. Then if you want to look on 5.4 and 5.5, they give you screenshots of what information is to be entered in, and the green box on the top of 5.4 is going to be all the information. So we're going to come up here to New Vendor and select New Vendor. We could also right click in the list of names and select New Vendor. So the very cleverly named XYZ Warehouse. We'll type in at the very top and then also under company name. Then we'll fill in all the details below. Look at that, they got a spelling error in their screenshot. Way to go, textbook. Once you have it in the build side, you can just hit copy and copy the same address over to the ship side as long as they're the same. And for the other information, we can click the other tabs here, payment settings. To 10 net 30 terms. Under account settings, we can put in the accounts that we're generally going to use with this vendor. That can create defaults for us when we enter in new transactions with them. So as long as all your information matches, hit OK, and you can see there's XYZ Warehouse on the bottom of our list of vendors. The bottom of page 6 and then on to 7, we're going to adjust a customer. So on the bottom of page 6, our customer Sunway Suites is having credit issues, and they also have a website that we want to put on their account. So we're going to go back to our home page on the left side here, and we'll click Customers in the center of the page. We'll go to the Customers and Jobs tab here, and we want to find Sunway Suites, which is the second to the last one down on the list. And we'll just double click on their name, and that'll open up their customer window. And then within this customer window, we can add in the website, under website here under address info. And then under payment settings, It looks like they already had a credit limit of nothing, so there's nothing for us to change. So just make sure you have a 0 up under that credit limit. Once you're done, hit OK. And you can double click into their name and double check that your information was changed. On page 9, it talks about deleting a customer record. So we want to delete Travers Bed and Breakfast. I believe we talked about this in an earlier chapter. So we'd right click, go to delete customer job. So it says, are you sure? Make sure they didn't want us to do anything else there. So we'll just hit OK. And there goes Travers Bed and Breakfast. Because we hadn't done a transaction with them, we were able to delete them. But our other option, if we don't want them to show up on our list, would be to make them inactive. So we're going to go to Ameristay International, and we're going to right click and try and delete them. And hey, we can't do that because as you can see on the right side of the screen there, we've used them for previous accounting transactions. So our other option would be to make them inactive. So I click Make Inactive and you see it disappears from my list of active customers. If I want to see them again, I can change the drop-down box here from active customers to all customers, and you can see Ameristay shows up with an X. So that means that I've made them inactive. If I no longer want them to be inactive, I can just come over here to the X, click on it. I change it to active customers. You see they're back in the list. So we can bring somebody back from inactive status very easily. Then I'll X out of here and go back to my home page. So we just kind of got a mishmash of different transactions here that we can complete in QuickBooks. On the bottom of page 12, we're going to add an account to our general ledger. So our general ledger, if you remember in the practice set, was the list of all our various accounts. Cash, accounts receivable, accounts payable, common stock, our various expense accounts, etc. So if we come here under Company on the upper right corner of our home page, we can click Chart of Accounts. And you can see here's the list of everything within our general ledger. So if I want to create a general ledger account, I'll just right click in here and select New. And it looks like the type of account on page 12, we want to do another current liabilities. We're going to come here under Other Accounts and select Other Current Liability. And you can see the most used ones up here, income and expense account, some other important ones, fixed asset, loans, etc. that we could add. So then I'll hit Continue. So it looks like we use account numbers in this situation. So we'll type in the number there in the upper right corner, the account name, 401k deductions payable. And then write in the description so we know what the account is. And the account number and routing number would be if we were adding a bank account. But even then, we don't want to put that information just in case our program would end up in the wrong hands or get hacked or anything like that. So once we're done, hit Save and Close. And you can see our new account shows up there under Accrued Payroll. our list of accounts. So we're jumping around a lot in this chapter. If you look on page 13, how do we change an inventory item's cost and selling price? So if we're going to sell a product, we can enter in our default prices so that it automatically goes into invoices and purchase orders when we have transactions involving those, saving us the time to find them on the list like you did in the practice set and have to write them out by hand. So for my inventory items, I'm going to come under items and services here in the upper right corner. So we're going to find item 103, washcloths. So you see the third one at the top, and we're just going to double click on it, and this will open up the window where we can change. So our old cost was 85 bucks a piece. We're just going to highlight what we want to change and type in the new one, 87 bucks a piece, and we were charging 110 and 50 cents, and now we're going to charge 113 bucks. So we just type in the new information, hit OK, and you can see the new price of 113 shows up in our list. And you can see the screenshot on page 14 showing you that as well. So that we changed an inventory item. What if we wanted to create a new inventory item? We're obtaining something that we didn't have before. Well, then I'm going to right click in my list of items and I'm going to select new. And we want to select inventory part. The item number is going to be 118. And then you can see all the different details in the green box and screenshot on page 515. The income account, we can just start typing in our account number or account name, and then it'll automatically come up. Then we hit OK. Oh, spelled conditioner wrong, so we fix that. And now you can see our new item shows up at the bottom of the list. We go back to our home page now. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to adjust our employee's wage rate. So you remember back in the practice set, this is something that we did as well, going to the employee earnings subsidiary ledger, and at the top of the page writing in our 3 employees' wage rate. So QuickBooks makes payroll a lot easier, and we're going to see that in a later chapter. But we can enter in their pay rates, and then all we need to know is their hours worked, and QuickBooks will do all the calculations for us for running payroll. So I'm going to click on Employees on the bottom of my home page. I'm going to find Mark Phelps, double click his name, and you can see it's going to look similar to our vendors and customer windows. It's going to have the various tabs on the left side here. So first, their basic personal information, their contact information, anything else about them we want to keep track of here. And then under payroll info is where we're going to adjust their wages. So you can see we got 2 rates for regular pay and for overtime pay. So under regular pay, I'm going to change it from 14 to 15. I hit tab, come down to overtime and change it from 15 or from 21 to 22.50. And sometimes if we're lucky, when we adjust the regular pay, the overtime will automatically do time and a half for us. In this instance, it did not. So we're going to hit OK there. That closes out the window. You can double click and go check in to make sure your changes were saved, but we'll use that when we would run payroll. And then the last thing is talking about maintenance on the fly, which is something that we've kind of went through in one of the previous videos in the last chapters as we were just playing around getting used to QuickBooks. So if I click on the create invoices, you can see that under a lot of these drop boxes, they're going to have the add new option. So like under customers, we could select add new. Under items, we could select add new. So that'll take us and do the certain things, that we just did in those various areas. As far as adding a new customer, adding a new product. We can do that from here as well. We don't necessarily need to be in those main windows that we went through earlier. You can see a couple more things on page 17 that you can go through and take a look at. So that's chapter 5. No assignment for chapter 5 specifically. We're going to watch the video for chapter 6 next, and then your assignment for this unit is going to be a combination of the items covered in chapter 5 and 6, since this was so short.